Please join me in welcoming Jill.
Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. So the first thing I would like to acknowledge that Nova Scotia is in Mi'kmaq, the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Our population is around 1 million. We're just a little bit over that now, I believe. Our founding cultures are Mi'kmaq, Acadians, African Nova Scotians, and Gaels. 40% of our population live in rural areas, and we've seen a significant rise in immigrant families over the last number of years. We have approximately 8,000 births per year, and 1 in 4 of our children live in poverty. So this is just a little snapshot of kind of where we've been, as Senate referenced earlier. In 2013, our early childhood development services, as it was called then, was moved from Department of Community Services to Department of Education and Early Childhood Development. And around that time, we implemented over 2 years early year centers in 8 of the school regions in the province. And so we did 4 in the first year, and then we did the other 4 in the second year. Those early year centers had 3 components. They had a 4-year-old program, a free 4-year-old program, a family support program, and where there was a need, licensed childcare as well. And that program was evaluated over 5 years, and it established an integrated service delivery model with a play-based program in early childhood. Then in 2017, thanks to a platform promise by someone who may be in the room, we introduced universal pre-primary for 4-year-olds. So we scaled up the program to a universal early learning program for children who are 4. So just getting back to the early years programs a little bit. So they were all located in schools, providing a stable platform which allowed integration and serving more families effectively in community. As been said a couple of times today, schools are in communities, so they're the best places to provide such services. It also increased collaboration and access to services for children and families. And I should reference that the early year centers were strategically located in places where there were limited services for children and families to access. And so the aim was to improve outcomes for children prenatal to school entry. It was free, as I referenced, 4-year-old program, and had family supports and licensed childcare. So we created the early year centers built on learnings from Toronto First Duty and from Doveton, Australia. The early year centers were funded by the Margaret and Wallace McCain Family Foundation. And again, I talked about the 5-year evaluation, which we did in collaboration with the Early Childhood Collaborative Research Center, Jessie Lee McIsaac's group. And we also developed a logic model to help guide that evaluation from no collaboration to full collaboration. So the pre-primary program, as I said, it was introduced in 2017. We implemented it over 4 years, so a phased-in approach, and it's been fully implemented since 2020. I should say, in case you're wondering, primary is kindergarten everywhere else in the country except for Nova Scotia. So when I'm talking about primary, it's kindergarten, and of course then pre-primary is pre-kindergarten. So we phased it in over 4 years. We prioritized that phasing starting in 2017. We had, I think it was 16 weeks to get things going for that September. And we looked at how we prioritized was we looked in communities where there were limited to no resources for children or families, so no childcare, very few family supports. We also identified space in schools, so we needed to look at that. Where can we put these programs? And then we also looked at the early development instrument data for those communities as well. So those were how we prioritized, and we continued to use those 3 criteria each of the following years until we were at the 2021 full implementation. So if you didn't have a pre-primary program, you would by then. So currently, we have pre-primary in 253 school communities, and out of the 8,000 approximately eligible children every year, this year in particular, we have over 6,700 children enrolled in our program, so that's about 83% of eligible children. Again, the program is no fee, it's play-based. And all 4-year-olds in that particular school catchment can attend. It's led by early childhood educators who follow the Nova Scotia Early Learning Curriculum Framework, which is also the framework that is utilized in childcare in Nova Scotia. And it's in all of our 7 regional centers for education, school boards, as well as we have a francophone school board as well called Le Conseil Scolaire Acadien Provincial, and there's programs in all of those. We're really proud that our programs are inclusive and respectful of diversity. We welcome all children and families into the school, and something that I often like to reference to. So, you come to pre-primary, however you are. There is you don't get kicked out. There's no, they don't follow the school code of conduct, because we have a lot of families that come to our programs whose children have unfortunately been asked to leave childcare centers, and that's just not an option in pre-primary. And we work really hard to support educators to support those children and families to attend. The next slide, I won't go into all of the details of all these roles, but basically each of our programs, we typically run about 24 children max, and each of the programs are staffed by a lead and a support early childhood educator. And then we might so 24 with a basically staff to child complement of 1 to 10. And so many of our programs, if they're full, have 3 staff. And we also occasionally will add additional staff to support inclusion if need be. We don't do one-on-one. We have an additional staff for anybody who needs the support. And then there's a pre-primary lead or manager, and so those people are staff that work in the school region, and they are the supervisors of the ECEs that work in the programs. The principal has always been responsible for the health and safety of all the children in their school, but with regards to their involvement with pre-primary, it's been varied, but nothing required. But very soon, the principals will be taking over the role of supervising the early childhood educators that work in the program, and we see that as a really positive step to not only have ECEs having someone on site to supervise them, but it also gives us a sneaky opportunity to help educate principals who may not be familiar with our Nova Scotia Early Learning Curriculum Framework, and we've got a plan for how to do that as well. Those are all regional staff. At the department level where I am, I have 7 pre-primary consultants that report to me. They are pedagogical experts and the best team in all of government. They work all around the province, and as well, and then there's me. So we did come across some challenges to supporting access to pre-primary, initially busing wasn't available to children who attended the pre-primary program, and that proved to be quite a significant barrier for some families. People figured it out, but starting in 2018, we started to implement busing for pre-primary children. We had to figure out buckling in and who's going to do it. Are they on the bus? Are the buckles available on the bus? Those kinds of things. So again, we targeted areas where it was a little easier to implement, saving our largest regional center for education, Halifax, for last. So, but by 2021, full busing is available. So if you were eligible for busing from primary to 12, you were also eligible in the pre-primary program. And then another need that we saw, because the program runs the school day, that left a gap in time from around 2:30 to 5 where parents were still looking for childcare. So what we implemented from there was called Nova Scotia Before and After program, called NSBAP, and we did that in collaboration with another department, Department of Communities, Culture, Tourism, and Heritage, and that government branch is responsible for recreational programs across the province. So we've got a really great partnership with them. And the other thing that I would mention about that is the BAP program is primarily an outdoor program. It's based on the Let's Get Moving physical activity strategy of 2018. And we like to see our children outside as much as possible, and the BAP program is primarily outside. The other thing that I would talk about is that As of 2023, there's about 2,300 spaces available for BAP, and 768 were created this year, with more spaces opening in January of 2024. So we worked into our Canada-wide agreement that the BAP families could access subsidy as well. So some of the families are paying $10 a day or less to attend the BAP program. And the BAP programs can choose to be licensed or not. Some of them are, some of them aren't. The key is, though, they do have to be associated and primarily on site. Where the pre-primary program is, they share the indoor space. So that's been really a successful, and we put those programs where there's a need. So if we have 10 families calling a school to say, I need after school care, we're gonna go there next. The biggest challenge is finding a partner for sometimes. So I think this is my last slide. So our key learnings for the pre-primary program is that it does provide early learning experience to support that transition to school. It's really helps to ease that transition for children. It helps families and parents become more familiar with school earlier. I think we all know families who have been intimidated by the school system over the years, and this program has really helped to support families to not feel so intimidated. The other thing is that when we first implemented pre-primary, we were with early years, and in October of last year, actually pre-primary moved to our public school branch, Education Innovations Programs and Services, which is really nice. It's allowed us now to, I like to use the word, infiltrate the school system to really spread the word of early learning and childcare. The focus is on outdoor play, as I said, and we really work to support inclusion and diversity. The other things I will say to the children that go to the pre-primary program technically don't have access to student services and other services that are available to public school students, so like our Schools Plus wraparound support program, but gradually over time we've had in-kind supports coming from schools as the children become more part of the school family, and it's really helped to ease that transition from pre-primary to primary because the teachers are more familiar with the children's needs. We've got a lot of those supports and things put in place in advance. Children are more familiar with the school routines. And again, we have our 40% of their time is outside. We started that with COVID, and we continued it because it was so successful. And again, it's available to all the children. So that's our pre-primary program in a nutshell. Thank you. Thank you.